What's going on, guys? It's that guy Mitch here, and today we're back with another video. Today something a little bit different. Hopefully you guys can see right behind me there's a hood popped right here, and that just means we're doing an oil change. Now as you guys know, vaping is my main thing on this channel, but I do love working on cars. That is my side hobby. That is something else that I enjoy. So today we're going to be working on a 2017 Volkswagen Golf. This car has been loaned to me for the day by my beautiful wife, so we're gonna go ahead and do the oil change on it. Now the oil change is pretty straightforward. You're just gonna need a couple of things, especially if you're working on newer cars. I highly suggest you pick up a fluid extractor like this one that I have right here. This fluid extractor makes life so much easier. You don't have to worry about getting your hands too messy. You don't have to worry about spilling oil everywhere. It just makes life that much easier. The next thing you're gonna need is a pair of gloves. Now the gloves are going to help you stay clean and make sure that you don't make sure that you don't get too messy, but they're also going to help you grip onto the oil filter, especially if they're mounted underneath or on top of the car. This is going to give you better all over, better grip to unscrew those, because sometimes they are screwed on pretty tightly. Now I did the oil change last time, so it's not screwed on extremely hard. It's nice and snug, but we're going to go ahead and take that off. And then the last thing you're going to need is a towel or some type of cloth to wipe up any oil that spills or anything like that. Now you can use a funnel if you'd like, or if you're pretty good at pouring oil, just pour it down the hatch and that's it. You don't really have to worry about it. But let's go ahead and start working on this car, and I'll show you guys how to do the oil change. Now when you pop the hood of the Golf here, I don't know if I said Tiguan earlier, but my bad, the Golf. The first thing you need to do is pop this plastic piece off, and that's going to expose your oil cap. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let me put some gloves on first. Alright, so we have our gloves on. So as you can see, this engine bay is fairly clean. It is a new car, so there's not too much dirt in here, but at the end you are recommended to give it a final wipe down just to make sure everything is clean, everything is nice and shiny and stays looking brand new. There are a lot of leaves in here, but it's fall and that's going to happen. So this cover right here basically has different little clips inside that are just held on by pressure. So what you want to do is just grab on by the edges first, pick it up, and you can hear one popped. We're going to grab this other end right here, okay, and it pops, and then the rest of it just comes right off that easily. So that's a cool thing that they did. Now this right here, this is going to be our oil cap, or our oil filter I mean. So the way we do this, we can just take a socket, go ahead and unscrew this, and that's basically going to be the easiest way to get that off. Then if we move over slightly to the left hand side, let's move the camera over here, you're going to see right over here we have the oil cap itself. Now the oil cap, you can see here it is marked where it should be shut, so that's nice that that's there. And then here it's recommended that we use Castrol, but we're using, I forgot what oil it is, but it's the right recommended one for this car. So we're going to go ahead and remove both the cap and the filter, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Alright, so now that we have our fluid extractor set up, it's basically just a hose connected to a manual pump, and all we do is we just stick this into the dipstick hole right here. Okay, so we're gonna pull this out, we're gonna wipe it off just to make sure that we don't drip any oil anywhere. Okay, the oil seems to be in fairly good condition, so we're gonna put our dipstick to the side, and we're actually gonna stick our fluid extractor into the dipstick compartment right there. Just stick it all the way down until you reach the bottom. Okay, and there it touched the bottom. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to take our fluid extractor, and we're just going to siphon this out. So you guys are going to see right now how this works. You're going to see the fluid just kind of flow out. So the basics of it is you basically just pump this down And what this is going to do is going to create a suction, a vacuum essentially, and the fluid is going to come out from the actual oil pan. It's going to flow through this hose and it's going to start falling in here. Now because of the pressure, it's all just going to flow out naturally, and the best way to do this is when your oil is still warm. You don't want to do it when your oil is extremely hot. You just want to do it till it's warm. If I touch this hose right now, it's warm, it's not hot, it's not going to melt the rubber, it's not going to melt this piece, so everything is working. You can clearly hear it. It's flowing, it's working. This is great tool to have, especially if you do your oil changes at home. So I'm just gonna give it another pump. You want to pump it about every 45 seconds to a minute. Give it 2-3 pumps, full pumps. 1, 2, 3. Now, the great thing about using a pump like this is the fact that it creates less of a mess. You don't have to worry about, having an oil pan where it can all drip to. You don't have to worry about transferring all the oil into a separate container. Everything is stored in here. Now, the great thing is this holds, I think, about 8 or 9 quarts, so you can easily do 2 oil changes before you have to dump this tank out. Now, for me, this is super convenient, and I think it's something that everybody should have. If you're wondering where you can actually pick one of these up, the link will be in the description below. Now, the question is, how do you know when it's sucked up all the oil? The answer is pretty simple. If you can hear the hose right now and you can see it moving, that means that it's pulling up the rest of the oil that's remaining, and there's not enough to keep a consistent flow. So there's plenty of air that's getting through the hose right now, creating this hose to move. And you can clearly hear it and see it, so you'll know when it's almost ready to pull out the hose and start your fresh oil. So let's go ahead, let this run for another 2 minutes, and I'll show you guys what to do next. So we get our gloves back on after just waiting around for that oil to come out nice and easy and clean. And the first thing we want to start on is this right here. So I've already removed the oil cap over here on the top side. Now we're going to work on the oil filter. Now the oil filter is held on, and you can see here that this is actually a 32 millimeter socket. So you can see here I have this big boy. This is a 1/2 inch ratchet with a 32 millimeter socket. It's a really big, beefy, hefty one, but it's going to work for this application. Now these things aren't on super tight, so you just want to give it a light turn, okay, like that, and it's gonna come off super easy. Okay, so go ahead, take your ratchet off, and now you can kind of just twist it off by hand. Make sure you have your towel ready, because this thing might have some oil residue left on. Okay, so we take our towel and we take this whole piece out like that, and you can see here we have our oil filter. There we go, get that in focus. So I'm going to show you guys how to change this, how to fix it, put a new filter in, and it's super easy. The first thing you want to do is you just want to kind of take this out, and it comes off just by sliding off, just that simple. Go ahead and discard this appropriately depending on your location, how to discard these type of things. Then we want to set down our casing like that. We're going to take this, I'm going to dispose of this right now. And we have our brand new filter right here. So our brand new filter, you can see, nice and squeaky clean. What we want to do is you want to replace the O-ring. So it comes with an O-ring right here, and this basically is going to go right around this right here. You can see the O-ring right here, the easiest way. Sometimes you can pry it off with your nail. Sometimes you do have to grab a screwdriver or something to help you take that off. So I'm also going to clean this up right now, and then I'm going to show you guys how to install the new filter. Just wipe it down with a cloth, with a microfiber towel. That's usually what I do just to clean it off, and then we'll lubricate it with some brand new oil. So here we are with the housing. It's all nice and clean. Now again, what we want to do is we want to take our O-ring, we're going to lubricate it with some fresh oil, and then we're just going to slide this right on. Now the easiest way to lubricate it is you take your cap from your oil, and you can see I just put a very tiny bit of oil in there. Rub it with your finger and just kind of lubricate this all the way around, just like that. Okay, once it's lubricated, just take your finger and kind of wipe it around where the O-ring is going to go. We take this and just slide it right on. Okay, just like that. Not difficult at all. There we go. Now it's nice and lined up. You can see there, O-ring is on, everything looks good. Now we go ahead and take our brand new filter. This one right here, we're just gonna slide it right on in. Okay, goes all the way down, and there you go. You have your brand new filter installed. Let's go ahead and put this back into the car. Now, as you can see, I had a towel down here just in case anything spilled over the engine. It was here to protect it. We're gonna go ahead and move this, okay? And we just want to insert this the same way we took it out. You can see here a better aerial view of where the filter is going to go. Now, if you notice, this filter is a little bit different and it has this little thingy sticking out over here. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that that goes directly into the hole. So we take our shaft, we're going to jam it into that hole, make sure it lines up perfectly. Okay, just like that. Don't worry if your oil filter slips out a little bit, it's going to go right back into place. So what we want to do is you want to hand tighten this, right? Okay. Just hand tighten it like so. We take our microfiber towel and you just want to wipe it around. Just get some of that excess oil that was on your fingers. Okay, just like that. All right, and we keep on twisting just till it's about hand tight. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to take your ratchet and your socket and you just want to give it a quick tighten. You don't want to over tighten this, you just want to give it nice. Okay, and that right there feels just about right. There we go. You can feel it stops at a certain point, and that's right there where you want to stop as well. We go ahead and put our ratchet to the side. Now the next thing we need to do, take our dipstick, give it a nice wipe off, and we're going to stick our dipstick right in that hole. Okay. Let's dump some oil into the car. Now, as you can see here, unlike most other Volkswagens, this oil hole right here is actually kind of small. So I am going to be using a funnel to make things that much easier. So you want to go ahead and stick your funnel in there and just pour your oil. Now, this car does require 5.5 quarts of oil, but make sure to read your owner's manual to identify how much oil your car takes and what kind of oil. I'm going to be using 530 because that's what was available, and you can also use it in this car. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this fully synthetic oil in here. And just like that, I went ahead and filled up all the oil. Now, if you accidentally spilled some in other places, just make sure you grab your towel and wipe them off because you don't want any excess oil anywhere on your car. Now, make sure that all of this is fully drained down. You want to take your dipstick, kind of tap it on here, grab your towel, and just place it on here just to make sure it doesn't continue to leak. Wipe down the areas around the cap, and go ahead and re-tighten it. Now, every cap is different. This one has a locking mechanism where you just lock it, you know, when you turn it to the left. There we go. Or sorry, turn it to the right. But there you go. That's how that one is done. Now we are done with the oil change, and let's go ahead and put the cover back on. Now, before you put your cover on, just make sure that you check your dipstick just to make sure your oil is at the correct level. First dipstick pull, you want to go ahead and just clean it off because it might have had some oil in there, so it didn't calculate it properly. So let's go ahead and do this one more time. All right, and it's right on the money. Now, every dipstick is going to have their own level, and this one seems to be right at the correct mark, so we have no issues there. So that is that. Let's go ahead and put our cover back on. Everything seems to be nice and tight, and while you have your hood open and your cover off, it's a great opportunity to check all the fluids in your car. Some of the fluids that we'll need to add in the future is this right here. I believe this is the coolant that needs to be filled up. As you can see, there's a minimum line over here. You probably can't see, but it's below that line, so we're going to go ahead and have to pick up some coolant for this car, and probably some windshield fluid wiper stuff for the winter, just so it doesn't freeze in the car. Other than that, everything else looks good. We're going to go ahead and put the cover back on. Super simple. You just want to do the steps in reverse that you did to take it off. Make sure that the logo is facing the right way. And there we go. There we have it. Just like that, we did the oil change on a 2017 Volkswagen Golf. Now, again, Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys have any questions, comments, please leave it down below. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe for more videos like this. I do have another oil change coming up for my car, which is actually a Volkswagen Tiguan. I've worked on Volkswagens in the past, so I kind of know a little bit about them. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave it below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you have any questions about the type of oils that I use, the filters, where I picked up the fluid extractor that I have here that I showed you guys, yeah, go ahead. Everything will be in the description below. Thank you guys. See you in the next video.